Hey App Growth community, welcome back to the App Growth Show, where we host mobile experts to unlock valuable and actionable insights on how you can grow your app. No matter where you are in your app growth journey, we are here to help you reach your mobile growth goals. Let's dive into today's episode. Today we are thrilled to be joined by Eric Vermillion, who is the CEO at Helpshift. Eric is a veteran within the software and tech industry. Before joining Helpshift, he played a major role in the growth of both BlueCat and Nice Ltd. Helpshift is a mobile-first customer service platform that delivers great in-app help experience for many of the world's top mobile apps and games. Whenever its users need help, they can get it right in the app with the always-on help experience that delivers immediate automated solutions to many issues. Get ready for an interesting conversation around the importance of providing today's users with a slick and easy to use customer service option right inside the app and the many benefits a platform like Helpshift can have on your overall growth journey.
Hello, this is Jennifer Sansone from App Growth Network, and thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the App Growth Show, where we talk about all things app growth marketing and everything in the industry. And we're really excited today to be joined by Eric from Helpshift. Hello, Eric.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Sure. So why don't we get started nice and simple with you telling us a bit about yourself and about Helpshift.
Yeah, happy to do that. So a little bit about me. I've spent my entire career in software and technology. I spent many of my early years in kind of sales and marketing functions and leading go-to-market teams. I was at Nice Systems for 8 years, where I helped grow that business from about 200 million when I got there to over $1 billion when I left. And my last role was Chief Revenue Officer for a company called BlueCat out of Canada, out of Toronto. And that was before I joined Helpshift just a little over 3 years ago. I consider myself to be a very passionate and demanding consumer personally. So I really love the mission we're on at Helpshift to rid the world of bad customer service. Today I'm the CEO of Helpshift, and I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area with my wife and 2 daughters. A little bit about Helpshift. It really is the app-first solution for app-first companies for support. So we have a patented AI technology that really allows brands to offer their consumers a great entry point for support. Really puts the consumers in control of their support experience completely within the app, allowing the consumer's intent to really easily be understood and taking them down a very logical self-service path and offering them escalation to a human when it's needed, fully within the app. So it really it improves the CSAT score from a consumer customer service perspective, but it also, for people who are trying to build great apps and keep people engaged in those apps, it allows you to service them fully within the app and not not push them onto some other platform for support, which is a dangerous thing, obviously, at kind of that moment of truth where somebody needs help.
Great. And your platform also, there's a lot of features to it, a lot of things that it does offer. So maybe in your opinion, what would you say is maybe one of the best features that your platform does offer?
Yeah, well, I mentioned the intent classification. We have patented that the capability of in-app intent classification. And so, if you think about it from a consumer perspective, they're in the mobile app, they need help, and what a lot of brands do today is kind of push them out of the mobile app for help. We're able to very quickly from within the mobile app through messaging really understand what the problem is. And the beauty of the mobile app is you have that you're typically already securely authenticated when you're in the mobile app. There's oftentimes context that's there, so you can take them down a very logical self-service journey using that smart intents capability, that intent classification, all while keeping them completely in the app. This gives consumers much faster time to resolution, and it also creates the ability for them to kind of have a continuous dialogue with the brand, so that it's leveraging messaging within the app. They just have a continuous dialogue anytime they have a problem. That smart intent classification takes them down a very logical path of self-service, or can give them the ability to escalate it to a human where that's needed, and if the brand allows. Sometimes brands don't want to do that, particularly if you think about it, it's a player that's only doing free, only utilizing free services. You might not want to give them kind of that human interaction capability.
Question. So let's say, because we're talking a lot about in-app support and how important the keeping that user in-app is. Now, let's just say I'm not super sure of, okay, what's the big problem if they are led outside of the app? Can you kind of break it down for us? Like, what is the risk by not having the support in-app?
Yeah, well, particularly when your entire experience is contained within the app, like it is for many gaming companies, media and entertainment companies, and really becoming that way for a lot of other brands who are really trying to drive their entire engagement with consumers in the app. The risk is they don't come back. So, at kind of at that moment of truth or moment of vulnerability where they've got a challenge that they need your help with, telling them to get out is sort of counterintuitive. And there are so many apps that do that today. It's I've taken that experiment on my own mobile device. I'd encourage all of you to do the same with the apps that are on your phone today. You'll see that what happens is a lot of times they push you into an email form that then becomes this email that goes into who knows where. And if you're lucky, you remember to check your email 3 days later when you get a response, or 3 hours later, whatever it is when you get a response. But at that point, you've probably moved on to something else. And so, if apps don't allow kind of that in-app and conversational help, they're really creating a disruptive experience for their customers, and they're really creating a disconnect, if you will, of the important user data that is contained within the app. So, the apps, today they're most of the time when you're in an app, you're securely authenticated within the app. So your identity is already known. You're in a secure environment. There's context for what the problem is that you've got. And so you're able to really, dive into that issue, leveraging messaging, leveraging that, automated self-help or escalation to an agent, but fully contained within the app. And so you can create this sort of environment where there's a continuous dialogue. And the customer service world today tends to operate under the premise that customer service is a series of discrete events. And so if you think about the last time that you needed help with something, you might have called, you might have tried, social media, outreach on social media, you might have sent an email. Every time each of those things happen, you're usually asked to identify who you are, explain the situation. And the idea is that is a discrete event. So it's going to start and it's going to stop when you either reach a dead end or your problem is solved, and then you start over. And so, brands today tend to operate under this premise that consumers want kind of a smorgasbord of options, of ways that they can reach in and get to a human that can help them. But the reality is there's too much volume. There aren't enough support agents in the world to handle all the volume, which is why you see a lot of brands that have these splash screens on their webpage, or you get the message when you call that says, expect a really long wait, or try a different option because there's really very little chance you're going to get through to anyone. If anyone's traveled in the recent weeks or months, they've probably experienced that if they've had had any issues. And the modern consumer doesn't really want that, right? They want always on, they want immediate response, or they want the ability to self-serve and fix the problem themselves. And the app is just a beautiful place to do that. And because you're already authenticated, it becomes kind of this safe forum for a continuous dialogue. So the problem can be fixed, and we've probably all experienced this with customer support issues in the past. If 5 minutes later you remember, oh, I forgot to get help with this other thing, and then you have to call back and start over again. Well, when you're in the app and you're leveraging messaging, you don't have to do that because conversation's still there. This just becomes a continuation of the dialogue. And so to the extent that anyone who's building a good app believes that app is about building a relationship and a continuous relationship with your consumers, support is a really important part of that, because it's a time of vulnerability for people, and being able to leverage that to create kind of a continuous dialogue creates really good customer loyalty. And the agents actually love it as well. The customer service agents love it as well, because it really sets them free to be more like a concierge or a personal assistant instead of, just kind of a discrete ticket closer, if you will.
Interesting. So is this whole idea of in-app support relevant to all apps? Or is there categories that, maybe should be leveraged to get more than others? Or is this across the board? If you want to have a customer-centric app, you need to have this type of support?
I think if you're in a business to consumer, environment, if you're dealing with consumers, if you have, volume of customer outreach saying, I need help, or I want to give you feedback, or, there's an opportunity that I'd like to take advantage of, it's relevant. So yeah, it's absolutely relevant in most apps. Companies that want to make the app the centerpiece or their primary engagement vehicle with consumers it's kind of you really can't live without it in that environment. Those are the ones that benefit the most from it, where you have lots of other avenues for how you're engaging with your customers. It's important for the in-app aspect of it, but there's just an inherent complexity that exists. I mean, I think at Helpshift, we'd argue that the app is really the most elegant place to start that support journey. And so, we've created other technologies, we've created a QR code technology that allows you to use to redirect from physical products into the app. And so you can take advantage of the fact that you've now got a secure identity. You've got some context for the situation. And so, rather than stopping what you're doing, picking up the phone and making a phone call, you can just redirect from your device, from the physical product, or even, in the gaming world, like a console game, use that QR code to redirect on the screen so that you don't have to put the game down or move over to a phone call or an email. You can, directly from your mobile device there, get support via that redirect into the mobile app, which offers all those great capabilities. So we actually believe the mobile app should be the starting point for all customer service inquiries. And if you think about the number of apps that are being created each year and the revolution that's happening with mobile apps, I don't think it's far-fetched to believe that 3 years from now, the mobile app will be the primary place where most consumers engage with brands.
And I think a lot of it is just cutting out that frustration, right, on the part of the user, because that's, when you run into an issue, you can't move forward. That's where you get frustrated. So it seems like to nip it in the bud in the fastest, best way possible. So we talk a lot about, providing the best in-app experience possible for your users, just for, their ease and their comfort. And we know that user feedback is, really important to figure out what is that best way to provide a positive in-app experience. So how does Helpshift help in this area of user feedback?
Yeah, we have feedback capabilities built into our full Helpshift product, and we actually also recently launched a light version, a free version of Helpshift SDK that we call Feedback Plus, and that's really something that we believe for brands that are developing new apps, it's a free tool, but it provides immense value because you embed the SDK as you're building the app, and it allows you to get direct feedback from consumers as you're launching the app, either in trial or limited form, or even after you fully launch the app, so that you can get that direct feedback within the app from those consumers of what they like and don't like before you get roasted on the App Store. Or if there's things that they really, really like, you can make sure that those are highlighted properly within the app. It also collects the user's metadata and device and version information, which allows you to better troubleshoot the problems, and really allows you to help create some more analytic driven decisions on how and where you might launch the app as well. And because we've launched this as a free capability, we really think this is something that anybody who's creating an app out there should put in the app. And our selfish ambition with it, because nobody gives away anything for free without wanting something in return, is that we hope that by providing those free capabilities, and the brands will see a ton of value out of that. They've already got the SDK built into the product. Turning on the support capabilities later is just it's already in your app, so it literally is just say yes, I want to start using it, and you can use it for support very easily. So it eliminates some of that friction, for us in terms of onboarding customers down the road, while providing really cool free capabilities to any brand that's launching a new app and wants to be able to get that kind of real-time feedback from their customers as they're doing it.
I think that's super great to know, right? Because I think part of it is, this user feedback, like you said, sometimes by the time you get it, you've received the 1-star or that poor rating in the App Store, which is of value, but it would be great if you were getting that user feedback before it gets to that point. And the fact that it's free, I think that's just, because getting user feedback does seem, I think, daunting and challenging to especially some first apps of, okay, sure, I want to make them happy, but how do I know? It seems like a very intuitive, easy way to get started in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So you've talked us through some of these, these areas and capabilities that Helpshift has. Is there anything that you can maybe tell us of what you're working on for the future, of how to enhance the platform even more?
Yeah, we've got quite a few things that we're working on. One of the things I'm very excited about, we recently announced our MetaShift platform, which is really a group of features that will enable brands to be able to provide support amidst some of those emerging and very decentralized technologies like the metaverse and Web3 that are that everybody's talking about these days. It's something that we're rolling out in phases. Actually, the first phase of it is the Feedback Plus capability that we launched in early May to give that free feedback SDK to publishers to collect feedback, to understand those bug and crash reports and suggestions for improvements within mobile and AR environments or experiences. As people are starting to kind of build these new modern platforms, getting that feedback from users is really, really important. And most of those experiences happen through mobile devices or through apps. The second phase of it, which will be launching later this year, will enable blockchain verification. So again, in this very decentralized environment, it's going to be less about your personal identity and more about your digital entitlements, right? So it'll enable brands to support channels to work with SSIs and NFTs and other blockchain assets that really are more about your personal entitlements, less than your actual identity. And the third phase of it is the one that I'd say people seem to be the most excited about, and that's the native in VR support. So within the VR experience, users will be able to get support right within the VR experience without ever having to take off their headsets. And for us, we've got a lot of customers and partners that are kind of the ones that are building the future AR and VR and the things that are being referred to as the metaverse that are our customers. So it's a very natural extension for us. And I think a lot of the world tends to think of the metaverse as this kind of 3D new modern gaming world, but we view it certainly as that is a part of it, and that will probably be a lot of the first phase of it. But in terms of the the capabilities it'll offer for virtual collaboration in a professional world, medical industry applications, we're really excited about what the future of the metaverse in this decentralized world is going to look like. And we know it's going to need support, and it just can't look like get on your hop over to your PC and write an email, or take off your headset and go make a phone call. It doesn't work.
Wow. So there's a lot of good stuff coming up. It sounds like a lot of potential for this really to be helpful for so many apps out there, both existing and new, and different phases of their growth. So thank you for sharing with us about the product. And usually what we like to do before we wrap up an interview is kind of maybe ask you for some words of advice, or perhaps some inspiration maybe for newer app-preneurs out there that are maybe looking to what to do to take that user experience to the next level. Like, what would your words of advice be for someone looking to kind of ramp that up?
Absolutely. Thanks for the question. The older I get, the more I love giving advice. So I'll try and stay very, very focused on the customer service aspect of this. But yeah, more seriously though, when it comes to customer service, a lot of new startups that are trying to figure out customer service, they tend to rely on advice that they hear, and don't listen to the vendors or support leaders that tell you the way they did things 20 years ago or even 5 years ago for that matter is what you should do today, because the world is moving way too fast for that, and consumer expectations are changing even faster. I told you I have two daughters that are 18 and 20, and so I have a personal support group or personal research group at home, and I don't know that they know how to pick up the phone and make a call, right? I mean, they're on their devices every day, but they are the future buyers that people need to be aware of. And as you think about what they want in the coming year, the next generation wants service whenever they want it. They want it to be always on, and they want it to be in any language, so kind of 24/7, 365 and global. And the app really can give you that, and it really can put your users in control of their entire engagement with your brand. So don't let support be left out of that when you're developing your app strategy, because if you do, they might not just leave your app, but they might leave your company altogether.
Yeah, that is really good advice. So definitely something to keep in mind. I think that customer service aspect probably isn't at the top of the list for many, but sounds like it should be, right?
It should be, yeah. It's a real friction point, and I think for for brands who have been around a longer time, for new brands, it's very easy to build this technology and kind of build this modern experience. But brands who've been around a longer period of time, they tend to say, well, wait a minute, I've already got this CRM system, I've built these contact centers, I've got people, or I've got these outsourcers that I'm working with. That's the beauty of the app, right? This just becomes a front end that works with that infrastructure that you've already built. So this isn't a throw out the way you've done things before. It is modernize it by leveraging the app to give the consumer the ability to really drive their support experience, versus saying we're just going to provide all these avenues that you can have these discrete support events and hope you get to a solution. So it's for brands that have been around a long time, it really, your app represents an opportunity for you to leverage a platform to let the consumers really drive their own experience, and a vehicle for you to really modernize your support infrastructure without having to kind of rip out and replace the investments that you've already built.
Yeah, I love that you said modernize, right? So you said, it is just, forget what you're doing, totally revamp everything. It's just, upgrade it, modernize it to meet the needs of the current consumers. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, Eric, I want to thank you so much for your time and talking to us today about your product, and also some advice for the listeners out there in the mobile industry. So thank you, Eric, for your time.
My pleasure. It was nice speaking with you, Jen. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the App Growth Show. We hope you were able to take away some actionable insights in relation to providing in-app customer service options, and how a tool like Helpshift keeps users inside the app and assists in creating that strong and continuous relationship with your user base. If you found today's episode to be helpful, please visit us at appgrowthnetwork.com and book your free call with us today to help supercharge your mobile growth. See you in the next episode. Bye for now.